All right, so today we're doing an install of the Cloudenergy 105 amp hour battery in a Yamaha Drive 2. It's a big hoss that's underneath here. So I've kind of got a jump start doing a wrap on the machine here, but we got our 6 8-volts. I'll be pulling these out. I will be removing this receptacle, the stock charger, and mounting the one that came with the kit. It has a nice pass-through that's very similar to like NOCO. Probably gonna have to take this little lip down just so the battery can fit. I will take these batteries out and come right back. All right, so here we are with the batteries out. I'm gonna have to take that lip down a little bit to get the battery to sit flush in there. Basically all we're keeping, I'll be upgrading the positive and the negative battery cables to a 4 gauge. And then the charging receptacle, the positive and negative, obviously we're getting rid of all that. This little safety so you don't take off with the cart plugged in, that you can just disconnect. It won't interact with anything. I will come right back after we got the battery mounted. All right, back here after a couple days off. Had to take a little time to finish up the wrap on the cart and get that out of the way before we could really do anything else. But the wrap is, it's fun. If you haven't done one of these, I'd highly not suggest it. I'd say we have probably 17, 20 hours in the wrap alone, which is crazy. But the amount of contours that are on here and folds were just not fun to deal with. But at any rate, also I would highly suggest getting an oscillating tool. These things are great. I use it to take down that little ridge inside of the cart here on the other side. And I also use it to do headlights and a lot of other plastic body work. But back to the Cloudenergy install here. Really straightforward. You remove the old lead acid batteries. I did clean up the tray, and I posted pictures of that. The install, I just put the battery in. I didn't use the straps that come with it, but I did have an old battery strap down that I could use. Also, you could essentially use the stock battery tie downs that come on Yamaha. Essentially, they bolt from here to here and then back there as well. You can grind those kind of flat and they will hold the battery down. I'm just not a big fan of putting like centralized pressure right in the middle. These are kind of nice clamps where they hold on the side. The battery is there, obviously. We have the DC converter from 48 to 12 volts, the charger that's mounted inboard, and the old charger receptacle you can see we removed. This is the backside of the NOCO pass-through. This is that one wire for the interlock. I don't have it taped up yet, but that will be taped up, and this whole job will be done. As far as the charging port, I'll probably push this out a little bit to make it flush, but for the time being, I kind of like it hidden. But, you lift it up and essentially you just put a 110 regular extension cord in there. So, plug that up. As far as upgrading the wires, I used 4 gauge wiring. The negative and the positive, really straightforward. Positive 4 gauge, I mounted to the solenoid here. Don't knock the wire loom. It's what I had, and basically it's just to stop any type of chafing from the frame. That'll be corrected in the future videos here. But then I ran another 4 gauge to the positive side of the controller, and then I have 4 gauge from the negative side going directly to the battery. So I will touch a little bit on the display here, which I really like these. And don't knock the TV setup. We kind of got an 80s deal here where you set the new TV on top of the massive old TV. This is the Yamaha track system. It's only good for certain golf courses. I would omit it, but it leaves a big hole here. And I don't want to get a new panel or fabricate a little cover there. So this works. Just a nice little backsplash. But at any rate, here's the battery display. You can see we're at 88%. There's no current draw on the top here. This will pull, and I would say it's fairly accurate. And this will show as you hit the pedal or turn on the lights. We're at 53.34 volts, 14.5 degrees centigrade, which I don't know if we can change that, but on the app it does reflect it in Fahrenheit. This is kind of your estimated time to empty with no draw on it. Obviously that changes with throttle input and load on the battery. It is touchscreen. I will go into the next one here. So you can turn off the discharge on the battery. It essentially acts as another lock or tow mode where nobody can use the cart. You can do that from the app or the display here. The charge you can also turn on and off, which is kind of convenient. And then we go into the display here for the cells. You know, these are kind of constantly changing, and you know, they will balance out eventually. So nice thing I do like about this display that a lot of the other ones don't do is it does time out after about 2 to 3 minutes of no amp draw on the actual display. So if you're just sitting there and you know have the cart off, it will time out about 2 to 3 minutes. But if you're driving around and you turn the cart on or the display on, it will show and display accurate readings the whole time. So that pretty much wraps it up, pun intended, I guess. But the biggest thing I do love about these batteries, you know, this is the second one I've run, and I plan to continue to run their batteries in the future. You know, this battery itself weighs 92 pounds, where it has the old lead acid 6/8 volts was about 384 pounds. So you notice almost immediate torque response. Top end is limited by your motor RPM, so that won't change, but I will say the torque is noticeable, and the whole cart itself is it just feels lighter. But outside of that, out of all the batteries I've run, I really do like Cloudenergy. I seem to get awesome customer service. I could reach out to them 1 o'clock in the morning through like WhatsApp or email, and they tend to respond inside of 5 minutes. You know, 5-year warranty, and I've never had an issue with the batteries, knock on wood. But again, can't recommend them highly enough. And stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.